Hi everybody, Sheena from Atlas Agency Launch Lab and John Nelson here today to talk about client acquisition, getting clients fast, getting clients consistently.
Yes, we are. And that's a good and timely thing because that seems to be some of the number one things that people are always looking for in the world of digital marketing these days. How do I get more clients? So that always gets people's attention, we hope. So we hope these are some good methods. I think you're gonna like them.
Oh, I have a few. But
Good,
you know what? I think it's one of the most stressful things. It's probably one of the biggest questions I ever get asked is, how do I get clients? Or
right.
How do I get clients consistently and keep scaling?
Well, and that's kind of the magic question, isn't it? The $1 million question back when they started as 1,000 and then kept going up because inflation. But that's certainly the $1 million question is, where do I get clients from? What's the secret formula that works? I mean, among all of us marketers, that's something we're constantly looking for. But I think I've seen a couple of your ideas. You've run them past me before, and then we do them in the Atlas Agency Launch Lab and talk about them a lot. So I think these are going to be good. They're going to like them.
All right, guys. So there's multiple ways to get clients. In fact, so many. And I always advocate for having at least 5 fishing lines in the water. Now, when I say 5 fishing lines, I mean your entire ecosystem needs to be geared towards client acquisition, okay? Your website needs to be talking to pain points. It needs to have a lead form. You need to be doing SEO. Your Google business profile needs to be completely filled out. You need to be getting reviews, recording testimonials, doing all of those things, including having newsletters and asking for referrals. All of these things is part of your ecosystem. But when you get to your desk and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what do I do today? Needs to be 3 things. 1, how do I get more clients? 2, how do I keep clients? 3, how do I stay sane while running an agency?
And getting and keeping clients. And one of the things I've known that part of the basics for 5 years or so since I've been doing this. But when I started hanging around you earlier this year, I mean, that sort of like reignited that. Is, what are you doing today to go get clients? What are you doing today to go get clients? What are you doing today to go get clients? It's like, I'm not doing enough. Help.
I remember when we first started like talking, we'd run in the same circles for a while, guys.
Oh yeah,
when John and I started talking, I remember like that first 2 weeks, he would give me updates. He'd be like, just so you know, I did this today to get clients. And it's super exciting. It is though. It's super exciting. It's probably
and it's energizing to get out there and to have that. I mean, your day can take you in any number of 25 different directions. Okay. Yeah. But if you dedicate that focus, and this is something I already knew, but I needed to be reminded of it, was my point, is if you're set aside time that you're doing that every single day and you're you almost get excited about going and doing it because it's just yet another opportunity. And then you do have your ecosystem in place, just like you're talking about. And then it all starts working.
Yes, it does. All right. So what is the daily prospecting list? So the daily prospecting list is what I give to my students, and I encourage them that this is what they should be doing with most of their time, especially when they first start the Atlas Agency Launch Lab. Students come to us and join the Atlas Agency Launch Lab because we have a deal that in 90 days, we will get your agency foundation formed. You will get clients. You will be profitable, you'll be compliant. So that is basically what we do here at Atlas Agency Launch Lab. And part of that is our daily prospecting list. And so it starts with cold email. So cold email is a fun one. A lot of people keep telling me, oh, it doesn't work. I've tried it. It doesn't do anything. Well, guys, it does work. If you have the right copy, you're hitting people enough times, and you're giving enough value, and you're not just treating it as a set and forget process. It is a set and forget process, but I'm going to teach you tonight a little bit of how to round that out. So let's start with first, where do you get your lists? Who is it that you're emailing? Have you built out your avatar yet? If you know anything about the Atlas Agency Launch Lab, you're going to know that Sheena says avatar an awful lot.
Right. It's true. Avatar, branding, who are the people that you're talking to? If you don't, and it's, it cannot be a general person anymore. Sorry, guys, it can't be. You have to. It can be more than one, but it needs to be at least one, and it needs to be a small focused group, because then you get to customize that message, and especially customize your cold email.
Yep.
And really speak to them that you're talking about. If you're all over the road doing this, it makes it tough to even do a cold email, because you don't know, you can't speak to pain points. You can't speak to anything else.
Yep. So when we're talking about building out your list, we need to know your avatar for multiple things. One, your avatar is going to help you niche down. I don't say you have to niche down. I don't say riches are in the niches or anything like that. Yes, if you have a focus, you're going to be much more streamlined and much more targeted. But my agency is not very niche down at all. Okay. I have a client who is a brick and mortar lingerie store. I work with wealth management firms. I have a bunch of contractors. I'm a little bit of everywhere. I'll tell you that my favorites to work with are coaches. I love working with coaches. When a coach comes to me and says, hey, I have this great offer, and I can turn around and say, well, do you know what? Let's finish filling out your offer before we start talking about marketing. It gets my blood so excited. So I definitely have my preferences.
Right.
We haven't niched down. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I stand corrected. I finally have.
There we go.
In a manner of speaking, my niche is, could go in any different direction, because my niche is digital marketers.
Yeah.
And the digital marketers are reaching out to all sorts of people. Yeah. So we still work with that. We still have to customize the offer. We still have to change things around, for who they're reaching out to. So I guess in that case, I haven't. But I mean, a process is still a process. So
it sure is.
Works either way.
But when you're building out a list, okay, you need to know for this specific campaign, who is it you're reaching out to? Okay. Right. Multiple reasons. One, it's going to determine where you get your list from. Okay. Are you building out a list of roofers or contractors from an area that's recently been hit with a hurricane? Okay. Because if those are the people you're going after, you're going to look for weather related events and find something related to that. If you're looking for hairdressers, dentists, med spas, things like that, go have a look on Groupon and Yelp and the Yellow Pages. See who's currently paying for advertising but doing it wrong. Going for people that wouldn't be found on Groupon, you're going to have the option of buying them, scraping them, making them, get AI to build them for you, getting a VA to build them for you. So knowing your avatar, where they hang out, is going to help you just build the list before you even make up the script. Okay. And then once you've done that, you want to build out a script. Now I suggest a little secret for you guys: 8-point email chain, 8 points. The reason for this is multifold, but have you guys heard of the 7-11-4 rule that was recently released by Google and some other big name that I can't remember right now? Basically says, to get somebody from a completely cold prospect to the place where they're ready to make a decision on whether or not to buy from you, you need to reach them with 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points across 4 different events or platforms. So that's a lot. It is a lot. Yeah. Now, when you think
that's what I mean, we're so bombarded now, all of us are, and whether, I mean, you may not be on every social media channel, but the ones you're on, you're bombarded. Plus you have media, plus you have things you come in contact with daily. It's tougher to stand. It's getting harder and harder to stand out in that message, because then everybody's doing the same thing. They're trying to do those same touch points. So you really do have to exceed it.
And I think that's why your ecosystem really comes into play as much here, because if your Google business profile is informative and well filled out, if your website is talking to their pain points and it has links to your blogs or your vlogs or your podcasts or things like that, if your social media is following the 4 E's or whichever strategy you choose to use, if you're present, and then here's a little secret, if you have a Facebook group that you own that's for your prospects, that you can then add them to and talk to them and go live and run masterclasses and challenges and things like that. If you have this 7 hours of content is not that hard to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you can recycle things that you've already done or things that you put out there. It's great to add to that cup, but you're continually, you have to pour value into them, because that's a targeted audience of people that you gone out and found and brought back to your group over here. It really speaks to what they're doing instead of trying to be out there on regular Facebook or in other people's groups and, poaching out of them sometimes, and which we all do. But I mean, it's you're not, I mean, you can still look in those areas, just bring them to yours where you have total control. And something else, you're talking about the ecosystem. Something that Google has said several times that makes a big difference is if everything lines up, all the messages are the same. Your Facebook, the little about you statement that you can put in there, if that says the same thing as your LinkedIn one, that says the same thing as what's on the head of your website, that says the same thing as on you name it where, then all of that Google looks favorably upon that, and they start promoting you a little bit more when everything sinks into place, because they're looking for that authenticity and trust. So that's another reason to have the ecosystem in place, no matter what system beyond that you follow.
Yep. And when you build out your email chains, you can use this entire ecosystem to add value. Hey guys, I just recorded a quick 10-minute video on my YouTube channel about what you should call your sales call, or how to take a lead and turn them into an appointment. If I just made this blog, or hey, did you check out this, whatever page it is you have on your website? You can use that content as part of your 8-point chain, and then from there you're not going to stop. All right, if you're using cold email software, you can see whether or not someone's opened your email. And you're not just going to think, oh, they opened 3 emails, but they never booked an appointment, they never booked a call. So they're just going to go into the forget about them bucket. They're not going to go into the forget about bucket.
Right.
They're going to go on to the next stage. And this is when you're going to take their information and load them into High Level or whichever CRM you're using. And you can send them a voicemail drop. All right. You can send them text messages if they've already opted in. You can call them. All right. You can add them as a friend on Facebook. You can reach out to them on LinkedIn. You can reach out to them on Instagram. Wherever they are, you can reach out to them. Your entire job is to get them to the next stage of their buyer's journey.
Well, and to that end, your entire job in doing what you're doing there is when you're just starting with with the conversation with somebody, your whole goal is to get them to reply and interact with you. So as soon as they ping you, don't immediately jump into the sales pitch. Start a conversation with them.
Yeah.
It may take a little longer, but it will be worth it, because it will be better quality, because they'll then begin to understand you. And at that point, you can also come back and reference your ecosystem when you are talking to them. Because if they bring up some subject that, hey, lo and behold, you created a little video about over here, and I said, hey, I created this thing that I was showing to some other folks. Would you like to link to it? Would you like to link to it to go check it out? Well, sure. So then they're going and checking it out. So you're just more and more and more places that they're seeing you, but you're continuing that conversation while this is all going on at the same time.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And that conversation is, I always say, reply, don't sell. All right. When somebody responds, you haven't done, you're not done. They're not like, yes, let's go on the call. I mean, sometimes they are. But you still need to determine where they are at in their buyer's journey. You still need to position yourself as an expert. You still need to pre-qualify them before you even get them on the call. I mean, just because their email address or their LinkedIn or whatever it is says they work in financing, they might not anymore. They might run a business that is educational for brand new mothers, or, anything. They don't necessarily still work at their jobs. You still need to be having that conversation, showing them that you're a person, setting yourself up as an expert, finding out their pain points, finding out what's that thing they said that makes sense for them to get on the call with me because of. Yeah.
And part of that too is monitoring them, is monitoring what they're doing out there, because they may be in multiple places too. And this is harder to do in this process, but as soon as you can do it, maybe you set yourself a point in your process here that says, okay, when they get to this point that they're acknowledging me, then I need to learn a little bit more about them. So then start just kind of checking them out in multiple places if you can find them. Like you mentioned, friending on Facebook, looking up on LinkedIn, seeing if there's any videos, seeing if there's anything. Just, and you don't have to tell them you're doing it. Don't, oh, I've been watching you, but that's creepy. But and it is Halloween. But come on. They are, I mean, you just learn a little bit about them and pay attention to the conversations, to the answers that they give you. Ask open-ended questions when you're talking to them. And get them to respond. I mean, a great example of that, I was prospecting on LinkedIn a while back, and I just decided this has been a little while now, but I ended up, and I think I've told this story before, but I struck up a conversation because I started made the connection and started going back and forth with the person, not ready to pitch them. But it was actually a local gym in my area that does boxing for Parkinson's patients.
Oh,
it's called Rocksteady Boxing. It's actually a national franchise, but they were the local representative of it. And really a cool deal to help keep them active and help keep their body active by boxing. And by doing it, and it's as much a workout as anything else. And so I started talking to the guy just because I was more curious about it. And I've got a family member who's suffering, so I was interested. But then ended up striking up a conversation with the guy, and turns out the owner of that gym is, his wife and kid are able to run it. So but they haven't had, because this was at the time they were sort of rebounding from COVID closure still. Their classes hadn't really come back to where they wanted them. He was doing delivery driving, like furniture delivery. He works for a local furniture store in the area. So, I mean, it's you never quite know where people are going to be at unless you start really delving into those conversations.
Yeah.
So it's worth your time to build that at some point into your process, to check them out just a little bit more and get to know them that much better, because it will help your conversations go better too.
And one of the things, so let's say you start a conversation with somebody and then the conversation goes cold. What do you do next? And that's kind of a big question, because sometimes it's not just getting clients. Sometimes I get responses, but I don't know how to get them from a response into a call. Two things I'm going to do here. Or three things. I'm going to give value. All right. If I've just recorded a live training or something on anything that is related to their business, I'm going to send it to them. But hey, do you know what? I did this the other day, or even if I didn't do it, maybe I came across an article by somebody else.
Right.
So I came across this the other day, and it made me think of you because of what you said back here. And I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
The other thing I might do is I might say, do you know what, friend? I'm a marketer, or I'm in business growth, or whatever it is. And I just thought, I loved our conversation the other day. I thought I'd do you a favor and do a quick order of your online presence. I've done it. Would it be at all helpful to you if I sent it over? And then I would send over a quick audit of, their reviews, how they're ranking on SEO, their Facebook health, little things like that. And I'm going to word it in a really, really complimentary way. Like, you've done this. I love the image on your logo, whatever. If you were to do these things, it would help you make more money. That's it. And then at the end of whatever it is I send, I'll be like, do you know what, friend? I'm not going to call them friend, but I'm going to call them
their name. Right.
If this is at all helpful and you want to jump on a call with me where we can talk through a few things more, you're most welcome. No hard sales pitch, free value for you, whatever. Okay.
And that's what we're used to. We're used to now, thank you, social media, we're used to free value, and we're used to that. Do it. And I've seen several variations of that. Somebody will take a picture of a business and, standing out in front of it, and they'll send it to them along with some suggestions, or they'll use it in a video, or they'll use some different things. There's great ways of doing this that's one that really is impactful, especially if you don't have a lot of, if you're newer and you don't have a lot of, street cred out there with it. They say to do that on like Upwork and things too. Well, not Upwork, that's a little harder, but if you can reference somebody's project or site or business or something, and how you can help, and just offer that help.
Yeah.
Offer the basics of that help.
That would be the second thing I do. And then the third thing I would just say, you know what? I loved our conversation the other day, and I'm doing a refresh of my avatar. Would you be open to sitting on a 10-minute call with me and helping me answer some of the questions I have around my avatar? They're going to get on the call. You're going to ask them, what are the feelings you have towards your business? What are your biggest struggles? How is that making you feel? What's the fear that's driving that feeling? How's it affecting your family? How's it affecting this? All right.
Yeah.
Conversations that are tricky to work into a sales call. But if you were to work them into a conversation, because you asked this person a favor and they said yes, they want to be helpful. It's not a sales call.
Right.
They just
and do not pitch them at the end of it. If you say it's not a sales call, don't make it a sales call in any form or fashion. That will organically figure itself out. But ask all the questions. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. And then at the end of it, you know what? I'd say, look, you know what? I'm really sorry. It's really, really hard. You're not alone. Other people have been through this. I know a couple of things that have helped people get out of these situations. If you'd like, I'm happy to share them with you. You're asking their permission to sell them, and they're always going to say yes.
Yep.
It's so, so exciting. All right. So that's basically email, how I manage social media. We did a recording the other day. I think it's on our YouTube channel right now about how to utilize Facebook groups, how to prospect inside of Facebook groups. It's quite detailed. It gives you step by step exactly what to do. So that's another thing that's on our daily prospecting list. Right, notice so far I haven't said cold calling. Who here hates cold calling? Because I do. I hate cold calling. In fact, I'm not even the biggest fan of warm calling. Like if I have a bunch of leads come into my CRM from an ad, I'm not even the biggest fan of picking up a phone. I love the fact I have amazing appointment setters that will do that for me. But cold calling is also on that list, all right? As much as we hate it, some of us love it. Or if you know somebody else that loves it, let them do it. Because it is very effective if you have the right script. Now, have the right script is not, can you take on another 5 clients this week? Just gonna hang up the phone, guys. They don't care anymore. It used to work 5 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. Don't use that one.
You'll get hung up on before you finish the sentence, the question.
Yeah. One of the things I would say is, hey, I'm doing a little bit of research on reputable businesses in this area. Do you have a couple of minutes for me to ask questions? And then I'll ask my pre-qualification questions. Okay. And then you can kind of, go from there, because during those pre-qualification questions, because I said I'm doing research, it's okay for me to ask, what's your biggest struggle? Where are your clients coming from? Where are your leads currently coming from? What's the quality of those leads? Things like that. You can ask those pre-qualification questions, and then afterwards be like, you've mentioned a couple of things that I really think that I could help with. Would you be happy to get on a call with one of my business growth specialists and talk through? Yes or no? All right. So that's how I do cold call.
And that's one of the tactics that I have seen from people that I've talked to. I mean, I truly believe there's a unique gift to being a outside salesman like that. And they do a lot of cold outreach. And that's exactly one of the things that they say to do. That's how they get in the door. It's just working in that soft angle. And then they have you. And then they're good, but they're extraordinarily good but in a good way, because they're extraordinarily good at what they do.
Yep. And then the other one that I think almost every single one of us inside this group, there's over 90,000 people, and I am sure that over 50% of us have an Upwork, a Bark, or a Guru account. All right.
Yep.
That's there. Okay. Bid on one job a day. Bid on one job a day. I know you're not always going to get responses. I know it can feel like hard grind sometimes, but some of your biggest fish might come in from there. So keep fishing in there. Make sure you're responding to the emails. Be careful of the spam. There's so much spam on Upwork today. There
is. And I would say it's even more than one job a day. If you realistically can, maybe make it 3. Because just for sheer presence. It helps your presence out there. And that way you it's more than just a one-off. But I mean, I know it takes a little bit of time to put that together. So if you can, template as much as you can without making it look like it's templated. And bid on 2 or 3 of those a day if you can.
So I would bid on way more in Guru than I would in Upwork, because your response rate is going to be higher. And Bark. Bark.com is awesome. You can get 300 warm leads in your email box a day. It's costly though. So once you start moving towards scaling, Bark is definitely something that I would start implementing.
Okay.
And then automations. Automations inside of Go High Level are your prospector's best tool. It really is. You can have an opt-in form. You can have voicemail drops. You can have booked automations, no-show, cancellation automations, a million times more that I'm sure John is just bursting to tell us all about. Go High Level is your best friend as a marketer. It's your digital assistant if you make it work. You've got to tame the beast sometimes, but you can make it work for you.
One of the most simplistic pieces of it is just the communications functions it provides you. So missed text callback is a big deal. If you're going around and leaving, and talking to people and leaving your phone number, and for whatever reason they call you and they miss you because, you're out prospecting, you're on the phone prospecting, that could be an opportunity missed unless you have the missed text callback. So you put that in there. And it'll at least respond. Doesn't have to be major. It's, hi, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm on a call right now, but how can I help you? Yep. And any way that they respond ends up in a way that you can track. In Go High Level, there's an app. So you could be on your phone and you can see all the communications feedback it gives you. This includes from social media. It will not, it can initiate social media messages another way, like whenever you're social media posting or blog posting. But if somebody messages you on Instagram or Facebook, WhatsApp takes a little doing, but it's possible all through the Meta ecosystem feeding back to Go High Level. But once somebody messages you, you can respond inside the app. You can respond with video. You can respond with, which is a great way to do that, by the way, guys. Shoot them a little bit, take the time to shoot a little video on your phone and send it to them.
Yep.
And so then they have that's even more of a personalized response that, answers their questions or takes things in a different direction or something as to what they're doing. That'll get your attention. Yep. So just the communications functions alone that it does in helping you, keep all that sane when it's coming at you from, 10 different directions. And yet you can respond in one place and try to keep track of the conversations, and then have, as Sheena Lee alluded to, you can have some workflows that if they get to a certain point, you assign them a tag, and then that system takes over. That's a little more developed, and a little, but it can be mostly where workflows like that come in handy is if you do get somebody to a certain stage, it can send them little extra messages and help remind them of who you are. And if they're coming to an appointment, it helps reduce the no-shows because it keeps messaging them. And there's even ways it can interact.
One of my favorite ways to use the Go High Level app is whenever I'm out at an appointment. All right, so let's say I've gone to the chiropractor, I've taken my cat to the vet, I've done something else. Every single time, so start thinking about it and listening, and you're going to hear it. They're going to say, hey, how you doing? How's your day been? How's your weekend? They're going to ask something. Okay.
Right.
It's like the universal hello these days. When you respond, prospect. Don't just say, yeah, that was good. Say, do you know what? It's been great. I just started a campaign for another veterinarian. Okay. And it's been doing great. If you keep hearing my phone dinging, then it's the leads that are coming through that was responding to. It's going awesome. And then they're like, oh,
part's
really?
Good. That's sneaky. That's good.
And then they say, really, tell me more about it. And when they give you their information, I don't put it into my phone and wait till they get home. I put it straight into High Level, straight into the context.
Because you can from your phone.
Yeah. So that is one of my favorite ways of using the High Level app for prospecting.
And you can give them a tag while you're there, and that can trigger another. If you know that they're at a certain point, if you figure that out, maybe you have a workflow set up that's triggered by adding a little bit of a tag. So I've got their information in there, and they might really be interested. They're ready to move on. So I'm going to put a tag that says next level. And then while you're driving home from your errands, it's starting that process for you.
Yep.
You could still monitor everything that's going on, but it's still starting that for you.
And I can always say, hey, do you mind if I send you a text message to make sure I got the right phone number?
Right.
And I'm just going to add you to a workflow. I was going to add you to a workflow and see if it sends. Do you mind? I don't mind. Oh, there we go. You're in my opt-in workflow right now. You can always unsubscribe. But And I always make a joke about it. I always say, well, I just put you into my opt-in workflow just to make sure that, your phone number was correct and everything else. If you want to, you can unsubscribe. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, perfect. That's fine. They don't care because I don't really know what an opt-in workflow is most of the time.
Okay.
But
True.
yes, I do it. It's a little sneaky, but I do that sometimes.
Okay. There you
All
go.
right. Another one. If you were talking to a business owner that was in the exact same shoes as you, what would you tell them to do? I'm going to hear crickets. Nobody wants to admit it. But you would tell them, do some digital marketing. So this is not in the daily prospecting list for my students. I tell them to do this quarterly. Every single quarter, you should be updating your ads. Now, when I say doing that, you can be adding in different lead magnets. You can be updating content to be a bit more current. I mean, you should obviously be optimizing your campaigns every few days. I'm not saying don't still do that. But every single quarter, go in there, see if you want to change or try or test a lead magnet one. If you want to run an ad for a webinar or a masterclass or a challenge or something. Now, when I keep talking about these webinars, some of you guys marketers are sitting there going, we're not coaches. We don't need webinars. Yes, you do. Yep. Yes, you do. So you know how I talked about building out a Facebook group of your ideal avatar and inviting people to it as the next part of their journey. If you want to utilize that Facebook group, now we have all this training inside about order asset that all of our students utilize. If you want to utilize that and you want to go there and you want to say, do you want, this is how you're going to find out whether or not your Google business profile is ranking. And if it's not, this is how to fix it. Do this. And then, this is how you tell whether or not your marketing agency is doing a good job. And talk them through a couple of things. This is how to find out what your competitors are doing. Talk them through a few different things. These are masterclasses that I would run for business owners every quarter.
And you can coach them into that too. If they're a veterinarian, have tips for keeping ear mites out of your dog's ears, or some other something that, I mean, if this were television, I'm going to say something and you guys are going to think I'm nuts, but follow me on this. If this were television, it would be an infomercial.
Yes.
But the difference is, this is, stinking easy to put together. You could do it with a phone, and it's just collecting these little videos and putting this together as something you can offer. Or if you want to take a Saturday, maybe you're, doing pet grooming, staying with the pet thing for a second. There's little tips and tricks that you could get, you could show on somebody's dog as to, here's how we do what we do. And by the way, so you've given value. So now then that's the opportunity for them for that business, or your business as a digital marketer. If you get away from the pet thing for a second, then you get a little bit of a license to nicely pitch and say, by the way, if you like this value, there's more here, and here's how you get it.
Yeah. Another thing that I would use my lives or my masterclasses or my challenges for is to give out lead magnets. Okay. So I set up a lead magnet that has 50 ideas on what to put inside your newsletter or something like that. Make sure it's not written by ChatGPT, or at least if it is, you've edited it, put a human touch on it or something else. But fill out a lead magnet that's like super exciting. Like a business owner knows they want it. A business owner wants 50 ideas for newsletters. Who doesn't? Okay. And when you do your masterclass, have a giveaway. And word it cleverly so that, by opting in for this, you are opting in to receive marketing, or by to get this, sign up for a audit call or whatever it is you want to call it. But do that and you can get a bunch of new leads that have just been exposed to you as an expert. Exactly. That have just come in and seen that you're there to give and not take. And now want you to come in and do. Now, if you word it as an audit call or whatever it is that's related to what you were just talking about, then you can help use that conversation and move it toward a sales call. So these are just a couple of the tricks that we teach our students inside the Launch Lab. We've got to be quick, run through the next one. Do a PR campaign, all right? get yourself, it sounds easy, but sometimes it can be tricky. There are ways to do it. Join us in our webinar on the weekend, and I might walk you through some of the steps on how to get yourself inside of news articles. But if you do a PR campaign and then share it, blast it all over your socials, everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're running ads or not running ads. People are going to look at your socials, okay? And they're going to see that you've been featured by news articles. They're going to see that you're an expert, at least an expert enough that people have come to, especially if it's organic or if it's authentic news. If it's paid news, it's a little different. So if you pay to go into news, you can still put the banner up on your website or on your funnel as featured in, but it's a little different if it's paid news. Run referral campaigns every single quarter. Run a referral campaign. This is one of John's favorite ones to do, but paid referrals, non-paid referrals, I don't care how you do it, ask for referrals every single quarter.
And it doesn't have to be extravagant. I think it should be something, because there are some people who will refer out of the kindness of their heart, but there are people who will refer a little bit more and try a little bit harder if they get something in return for doing it. And it can range from, a $10, depending on what it is that you're selling. If it's a $10 gift card to something, for one time, okay, great, no problem. Or all the way up to a certain percentage of the sales and everything in between. There's some very, very clever ones out there that are doing that. Go ahead.
Or you can tie it into your own offerings as a marketer.
Yep.
So, you can say, like, I'll give you 1 month free SEO or something.
There you go. That's also a good idea. Yes. To offer what you have, but make it something of reasonable value that they would actually want, because then they'll do it more so than just even for free. If it ties into what you're doing, to what you offer anyway, all the better.
Yep. Sorry.
I was gonna say you get somebody in there as a it's like the whole, when you do message marketing, you get somebody in there at a discount to try your service. Well, they're still trying your service anyway, and they're going to come back for more. So it's the same idea.
Exactly. All right. So run a referral campaign, get influencers to give you shout outs. There are so many fun ways to do this. And I do talk about that inside of the webinar that we're running this Saturday. But influencers will give you shout outs. If you word your funnel correctly, they will also post your funnel there. And when they give you a shout out, there is an influx of new leads coming right to your door. Okay, so do that every quarter if you can. And then run a review campaign. We kind of talked about this right at the very beginning. We were talking about our ecosystem, and it might feel a little counterintuitive, because how is that actually prospecting? Well, reviews are incredibly powerful tools or social proof that you can
Everybody looks to them, whether they admit it or not. Everybody looks at somebody's reviews. Yes, they do.
Yeah. And one of the ways I use this to prospect is whenever I run a review campaign, I call them Testimonial Tuesdays. Guess what I do? I edit them a little bit. I run them as a reel on my Facebook with Testimonial Tuesday on it. That way, everybody that's ever seen me sees it. Everybody who ever visits my profile in the future will see it. And that way, it's a prospecting tool. I will add it into a newsletter on Tuesdays. It's like Testimonial Tuesday. Look, see what happened with Mr. Client here, blah, 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 blah. Here's his case study for more information, blah, blah, blah. So you can use it for multiple prospecting methods.
I was going to ask, what do you put in that? What's the substance of what you put in that video, that reel, whenever you do it? I mean, I know they're short, but just in general template, in general template terms,
Well, there's a right way and a wrong way to record a testimonial, and I probably talk for 20 minutes about that. So if you guys want to, we can talk about it next time I'm here. Write in the comments and let me know, because there is a right way and a wrong way to do a testimonial. Some are going to be effective, some are not. All right. So we will schedule a call and we'll talk about exactly how to do that. But really, I just take the words that they tell me to do, that they write for me. Sometimes I'll edit it, as in, like, I'll take out like a really, really long pause. Or I would, let's say there's a part that, like, they pull faces on that they're not going to be super comfortable about being in the public. I will cut that part out, just use the audio and, like, put a screen or something with words or something just to break it up. But yeah.
Or something that shows, who they had, the business name or whatever, if you're doing it for a business. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the front of their store or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Khaled said, great job. Gave us a thumbs up. Thank you so much. And that is basically our daily prospecting list. So obviously there's so many ways to get clients. I think I might have already spoken to you guys about my client acquisition plan that talks about their entire ecosystem, that once it's running, stops a lot of this outbound prospecting and it just mostly becomes inbound. And if you guys have more questions, you are welcome to ask them. We will be inside of our Facebook group, Atlas Agency Launch Lab, this Saturday for 1.5 hours with 5 different agency heads talking about so many cool things. We're talking about these 10 top ways to get money using Go High Level. We're talking about AI and marketing. We're talking about mindset, brain spotting, and how that relates to branding. We're talking about how bad it can get if you don't actually run your agency well, and how bad it can get if you don't look after your body and your mind, and then how to actually correct that.
Sort of work-life balance there. Sorry,
there we go.
Yeah, it's very, very important when you sit for a living as we do.
Yes. And then we're going to talk about the use of emotive words in ad copy, and I'll be giving away so many free things, including access to our entire 12-week program, which gets your agency up and running for you, gets you compliant, gets you clients, and so many cool things like that. We'll be giving away access to our brain spotting sessions. We'll be giving away our Go High Level snapshots that have been built out by John here himself. And we'll be giving away our sales training, our audit training that we use for our masterclasses, as well as 270 different emotive words in ad copy and examples of how to use them. So don't miss out. This is this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What time's that your time zone, John?
10:30 my time. That's about, what did we decide? That's about 4:30 London in the UK. Europe, it's an hour or two after that. So it's right there in the afternoon. And this is, I mean, anybody's welcome to do this, but the ones who have really seen a lot of value out of this are the people who, maybe you're looking for a little bit of that. It's more than a quarterly refresh, but it's kind of a, what you're doing is not working. You're feeling burnt out about it. You're feeling, like you're not necessarily standing out in the ways that you want to stand out. This might be the ticket to reset a lot of that, and for you to come out fighting and strong and remember why you got into digital marketing in the first place.
Yeah, if you're still sitting there and you're stressed, if your agency isn't working for you, if you're spending more time on your agency than you are leading a team, if you are feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, if you're sitting at your desk and thinking, okay, how am I supposed to get clients, but you've been thinking that way for more than a month or so,
right?
You need
if the list we went through today is overwhelming to you,
then you need to come to our webinar. You need to get your opportunity to win the Atlas Agency Launch Lab done for you agency setup in 90 days program. So we will see you on Saturday. I will post a link to how to get into our website, our webinar in the comments here, and we'll see you guys on Saturday.
Sounds